Good evening, everybody. I am your androgynous android game show host from the future, Nathan Blades, and welcome to the Neoncaster Twitch channel, where we play a variety of indie tabletop RPGs and cyberpunk video games. Although, this session, I will not be your GM, I am but a mere player. Before today, we have, you know him from the hit anime series Arcana Core, playing Shinichi Mori. Please welcome everybody, Tom, our GM of today's session.
Thank you.
Woo! Yeah!
Great to be aboard and be in the driving seat for this lovely beachside adventure we've got planned.
I am very, very excited to go and play MORK BORG as something that is OSR inspired. I do believe that stands for Old School Revival. Do I have that right?
I think so.
Yeah, it's designed to be
right.
like lethal dungeon crawling. And, we're quite used to having long-form narratives about angsty teenage feelings. So this is very, very outside of this channel's wheelhouse. So I'm very, very excited to be playing this with y'all, especially since, Tom, you've added a sci-fi twist to this one.
Yes, indeed. Too soon.
Yeah, but before we get into the nature of what this game is, let me introduce our other fantastic guests. Going in order of what you see on screen, we have also returning from the Arcana Core campaign and various other streams, Ruben.
Hi everyone, I'm so ready for this beach adventure.
It's gonna be so much fun! Nothing bad will happen at all.
I'm splashing water from a little cup. It's so fun!
We're gonna go smash a watermelon and not tan properly. Remember to wear your sunscreen, kids.
Back to 40 minimum.
Returning from our Net Battlers one-shot Galaxy Galleria, please everybody welcome back Draco.
Hello! I am glad to be back and very excited for this wonderful and relaxing beach adventure.
It's gonna be so chill. Summer is almost here. And it's time to get. It is mermaid at the moment, as Illustrator Twitter keeps reminding me. It's very timely that we have such a cheerful mermaid adventure on the way. Sorry, I haven't done the whole kind of is there any self-promotion-y things that you would like to do? So let's rewind a little bit. Ruben, what kind of stuff do you do, and where can we find your stuff?
Oh my god. Well, I write for games when I feel like it. I also write queer colonialist fiction, or anti-colonialist fiction, when I also feel like it. You can check that out at thefriendden.net. That is the friend and then double D.net. And don't worry about the last time it updated. I'm working on a new website, and then the number will be more recent. Thank you.
Exciting things are underway. And Draco, what stuff do you do and where can we find it?
Well, I do a lot of theater here in Central Florida, but we've been doing a lot of online shows. So if you check out my Twitter later on, we will be able to post some links there. But I'm also a fiction writer, and you can find all of my fiction at worldofvania.card.co. That's Vania spelled V-A-E-N-I-A.
Let me post the link for that immediately. Hold on. There we go. It arrives. And also, another returning player. Last we played Wandering Spark together. Please welcome back to the Neoncaster channel, Wheels.
Hey, I'm starting to think this might not be a beach adventure, because I'm looking at my character sheet, and I don't think Moira would bring an anti-personnel mine to the beach.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's for beach volleyball. She cheats.
That makes sense, actually.
Listen, carcinization has gotten really out of hand, and the crabs are just out to get us now, so I don't blame you.
There's crabs with sunglasses and biker jackets roaming the beach. We need to get them out of our heads.
Just like home.
Absolutely. But what kind of fantastic stuff? Oh, I'm a smidge quieter than everybody else. Yes, let me turn myself up a little bit. There we go. There we go. Please let me know if I am still slightly quiet. I'm recording in a different space to everybody else. Yes, I am definitely recording in a different space to everybody else. But also, I'm recording in a different space from normal. My house situation is wild at the moment, so I'm currently set up in my living room so I can get consistent internet to do this stream. So I apologize if my mic quality is slightly worse, but we are persevering. Anyway, with that aside, what wonderful stuff do you do, Wheels, and where can we find it?
Oh, there are a lot of things. You can find me on Twitter at Singular Wheels. But you can also find my 2 podcasts. One of them is called Very Random Encounters. That's where a few friends and I play tabletop role-playing games and randomly determine as much as is possible. You can find that at vre.show. You can also find me on Got It Memorized, which is a comedic recap podcast for famously convoluted media. We're currently just starting our Twin Peaks series on Got It Memorized. And then also, I wrote, along with my co-host on Very Random Encounters, a book of tabletop role-playing game random encounters, so specifically for fantasy settings. So if you want some random encounters for your fantasy setting, please go to bit.ly/random book with a capital R and B, or just click on that link that Nathan has so kindly put in the Twitch chat right now.
Indeed, indeed. I'm very, very excited for that. Simon & Schuster are very, very good at being on top of publishing tabletop RPG content at the moment, crushing it. In fact, I also have a feature in a Simon & Schuster book, the Ultimate Tabletop RPG book, I think it is called. I should remember the name of the book that I star in. That would be very important. But it is a collection of 40 different micro RPGs, of which one of my games, On All Frequencies, is in. It is a game where the GM does not speak at all. Instead, they play music to set the tone on a day of disaster when only the radio is the only mode of communication across the airwaves. And actually, recently, I have been sent 5 copies of that book, surplus to the one that I already own, by the publishers of Simon & Schuster. And I'm like, sick. What do I do with these?
So I need one.
Yeah, I know, right? And I can't sell them because, you know, they're specifically not for resale. So what I have done, and also put the link in the Twitch doobly-doo, is if you send me an actual play recording of any of my games, whether that is a podcast form, whether that is an actual play stream, whether that is like a Japanese style replay where you like commit it to prose after, play one of my games, send me the evidence of that you've played that game, and I will mail you a signed copy of the Ultimate Micro RPG book for free. So yeah, if you would like a very, very astounding collection of micro RPGs, please follow that Twitter link, and at some point go send me a recording of one of my games. I would love to see you interpret my work.
Hand signed by Nathan, hand perfumed by Nathan, and hand kissed by Nathan too.
Yes, I will leave like a lipstick kiss on the inside cover just for you if you ask. If you ask real nice, I will do that. Good. Okay. I'm glad that we got all that preamble out of the way. Thank you, everybody, for being patient while we kind of do setup and admin. We're going to go get into what this game is about, but instead of letting any of us go and explain the game, we actually got a special guest. Because it is mermaid, I figured it could only be appropriate to have this beach adventure introduced by a real-life mermaid. So let's introduce her to the show. Go for it.
Thank you very much, Caster, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to come perform on your channel and introduce the story of our lovely world this evening. Introduce myself. I'm Executioner Shaela. Don't worry about the title, it just means I'm really good at carrying things out. So I guess it's probably a good time to set the scene a little bit and tell you a bit about our world where this game will be taking part this evening. So our world, it's one very much like yours, but also far off in the future. The golden eras are long over, the ruins of ancient empires and wars lit the wasteland of the planet. Most of the remaining people huddle in the remnants of once great cities, eking out a life using the miracle foodstuff and medical compound known only as Animus. The greatest testament to this era of technological marvel past is the impossibly huge mega-construction in the sky, which looks down at us, which some call the God Engine, other the Cage Star. Our beachside location today is the lovely resort of Fathom's Edge, which unfortunately has experienced a slight mishap, which has caused me to have to call upon the aid of a group of what you probably call adventurers. Shall we meet everybody now? So, who would like to go first and introduce their character?
Why not? I'll go first. So I'll be playing that's me, Ruben. I'll be playing H.C.E. That's an acronym, just the letters of the alphabet. They're what you would call a very interested, very curious kind of individual, always really looking for the next clue for some grand truth. Really into barbecues and other meat kind of stuff. Also kind of pious figure. Religion's very important for them, but not in the way that you and I might expect. He's more of a applied religion kind of guy, but you all find out what that means.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Oh, I think I'll go next, if you don't mind. Fantastic. My name is GORDIAN. I must admit I'm a little bit of a corporate type. I don't usually get out to go to the beach much. The sand tends to get inside my technology and that doesn't work so well. But I'm a pretty personable person most of the time, if a little bit forgetful. But it's okay. The corporation I work for treats me right. You know, they have an incredible dental plan. My teeth have never been whiter. For the most part, though, I enjoy helping my friends, looking at retro technology, and I'm actually pretty into geometry these days, although I suppose that's a pretty complicated concept. Anyway, that's me. It's nice to meet y'all.
Okay.
Well, I can go next. Moira, here. You might not see a lot when you look at me, but people do often wonder why I'm still doing adventuring at my age. You know, getting up there. It's still spry. Still got it in me, but not a lot of folks do at my age. But I still do, so here I am, I guess.
It's fun. Traveling around together's relaxing. Call it a road trip, yeah.
It pays the bills, at least.
The more, the merrier.
And as far as I'm concerned, that is a bunch of nonsense as far as your age goes. My name is Cuthbert Williamson, and I'm a bit of a throwback to a time that never existed. I like to think of myself as the final descendant of a long family line, patricians and various other wealthy and powered individuals, but these days I mostly just make sure that everyone around me stays healthy and that I myself stay in good health. You know, the less said about how much animus I actually use on a day-to-day basis, the better, I think.
I don't know about a lineage, but I know your family's real mean.
Well, yes, I can't deny that fact. There is a history there, but I try to be better than that.
Wonderful. I'm sure it'll be exactly what I'm looking for at this particular point. So, I think now that we've got here, now introductions are over, Caster, I believe it may be time to drop this little facade and get on with the show.
Oh, well, fair enough. I mean, I guess you're running the show here. God, this pixel art is so, demanding. Right, let's start the story in earnest. It's all yours, baby.
Okay. So, we are on the... Right. Apologies, just get my screens up. Cool. I'm still hearing the Twitch music, Nathan. That's wonderful. So, The party have arrived in the misty grey town of Fathom's Edge, following the news of a request for skilled individuals to deal with an issue that threatens the existence of the new settlement. On your arrival, you've been escorted to one of the larger prefabricated buildings that populate the town, the inside of which is dominated by what can only be described as a giant fish tank surrounded by sound systems and metal gantries. The smell of brine and oil fills the room. Everybody's in. And I will put the GM layer. Oh, there we go. Okay. Out of the murky depths of the glass steel tank before you swims the predatory form of Executioner Shaela as she moves closer towards the glass. She regards each of you with her soulless artificial eyes, above a mouth fixed in a rictus grin, filled with seemingly more metallic fangs than her original human skull could have been able to hold. The various speaker systems around the tank crackle to life as a monotone synthesized voice fills the chamber. It pleases me you have arrived promptly. I require your assistance in a matter most urgent. The primary source of power for the settlement is provided by an offshore geothermal rig, platform Nethys. Around 4 weeks ago, contact was lost by the crew of the platform. The retrieval team sent in to investigate was butchered by unknown contacts shortly after landing on the platform. Your reputation as skilled individuals has reached my ears. I require you to liberate platform Nethys from whatever threat has taken it over. What further information do you need to know before undertaking this operation? She will look to the players, her tail lashing slightly in the water.
I love what you've done with yourself. Such great bioextensions. Where did you get them? Who did you ask to craft you?
A long amount of work, preparation for the final dive. Eventually the God Engine will burn out, and the depths are the last place that humanity can retreat to.
I can't wait, baby!
And, is there any sort of technology we might be able to retrieve for our own purposes? Or perhaps your own, should there be a bonus in it?
Any items left behind on the rig by the crew are yours for the taking. They'll also receive you each 500 credits as a reward for the completion of this mission. Also, you'll be considered a friend of the Children of the Deep if you need our assistance as our group in the future.
Excellent.
Are there any people who would like to be my friend specifically?
You'd have to see who was there.
Preferably people with not a strong attachment to their own physicality.
Well, I'd say that's a decent number of people around these days.
Not including you, Geometry.
Yeah, well, I know that you're not necessarily a fan of my own particular aesthetic. The cube that makes up the upper half of Gordian's head rotates slowly in protest. But still, there's no accounting for taste, I always say. Oh, speaking of which, I am on the hunt for a wide, interesting range of data slates these days. I don't know if this offshore platform was one for having a lot of technology on it.
Anything to do with the rig is generally due to power generation. I do not believe that there will be much there that will be of that particular note. However, a lot of things wash up on the shores of Fathom's Reach. You may find something interesting in some of the traders by the docks.
Well, I'll have to do my best. We'll see you, Moira. Ready to get exploring?
I've seen enough of these things. You say you don't know what's over there. But you do, right? What's over there? What are we killing?
I suspect you'll get a better description from the commander of the cargo vessel. Captain Anya Danodel will be able to fill you in a bit better with the details.
Captain Anya. All right, got it. Be sure to pay everybody in town a visit. I hope they're as charming as you.
She leans forward. You're not sure if she's grinning or if that's just the face expression of face just generally fixed in. One final point I'll make clear. This is not a mission of mercy. The crew of the platform are regarded as disposable assets. Gut anything you deem a threat to the rig's continued operation. She sort of leans back away from the glass seal front of the tank. I look forward to news of your success.
Scrumptious.
You hired the right four.
Yeah, well, shit, no need to
Excellent.
tell me twice.
Absolutely. So I think from a sort of perspective, if that's covering everything, we'll just have a quick move to the map layer so you can all have a quick spy at that.
Oh, yes, please move us over.
Pretty.
As we are currently in Fathom's Edge, which, as it is, from your character's knowledge, is something that the Children of the Deep, this particular, I don't want to say cult, there's definitely quite a few people wandering around in robes, looking up and not quite worshipping creatures like Shaela, but looking to want to follow in their footsteps, I guess is the right term. And they've created Fathom's Edge as basically a place for their final drop-off spot before they disappear into the depths. Platform Nethys, as you're told, is somewhere offshore. You'll have been told there is that boat which will provide you transport there. So everybody has had a good look at that. We shall cut to Fathom's Edge again. And minor pausing as Tom plays with the token line. And doesn't click the random side button, which is just made for spoilers. We'll have a nice ambient. What's it? Which shouldn't have anything on. So yes, the town of Fathom's Fathom's Edge. I'll get my names right. There we go. Fathom's Edge. Sorry. I say it's a particularly ugly town, even for ones of the wasteland. Lots of very dull grey prefab shelters. People generally huddling around, trying to keep warm and away from the elements. You will notice, although there's a few lights on in the pitch we're using, there's probably a lot less at the moment. The glow cells, which you generally use to power most of your equipment and the like here, but presumably running a little bit low with the lack of the geothermal rig in its full operation at the moment.
Yeah,
A true
the
shame.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Is the boat that we're going to be on, is it something where it seems like it would be safe enough, or should we, or is even the travel going to be treacherous based on our previous experience?
You probably stay off the sea generally.
Yeah.
There's not a lot out here. Occasional ancient wrecks and things, and most of your stuff I suspect will be scavenging around the bigger cities and the like. So boat travel might be relatively new to people here.
Moira's seasick for sure.
Absolutely. You probably suspect it'll have some sort of hover capabilities and some sort of like hover catamaran kind of thing. But yeah, so I can wander your way towards the town port side, which as you approach over there, you'll see there's like a smattering of stalls and things, mostly selling sort of your average day-to-day survival things for people. But there will be something that does catch people's attentions, or somebody actively trying to capture the attention of the party as you're seen wandering through, as you do stand out just a little bit.
So there's like fishmonger stands.
Most of the food you get is generally animus, which is actually grown from mushrooms, because I couldn't think of anything more dystopian horrible than a future where all you can eat is mushrooms. But there'll probably be a few like smoked, unpleasant, mutated fish to potentially purchase.
Careful you don't eat anyone's uncle, though. This town, you never know.
You never know. H.C.E. Like they're wearing like a large triangular poncho, and it sort of like covers. If you've ever seen Noman from Zone of the Enders 2, he's basically wearing that, but with sort of like a peacock Mandela effect, like pattern on the poncho. Like in the center where the or your solar plexus would be, there is a large, or like a finger-sized black hole. That seems to like not actually shine through, like does not display anything underneath it. It's just like a weird hole in the center of their body. But as they're walking past the fishmonger stands, they shoot. You see like a hand shoot out, probably from much lower than you'd expect an arm to be, and grab a fish, and then they just pull it in on the poncho, and you just hear a single.
I suspect whatever poor fishmonger who's manning this stand decides he doesn't want to particularly play with a group of people of your caliber and obviously quite blatantly armed in at least a couple of your cases. So
Thank you for the sample. It's delicious.
Pleasure, sir. Pleasure. But as you're sort of moving towards the dock, you'll see one of the somebody who's actually got quite an interestingly large array of stuff displayed out on almost like a car boot style tabletop sale. It'll be a gentleman who will wave at you as he sees you pass. Ah, you look like people of the Wastes, people of good notes and credits. Kel Strider here. Pleasure to meet you all. How are you doing?
Quite well. I'm enjoying the look of everything in this town, though I find it very disappointing that you've allowed your power plant to go to waste. Very unseemly.
Indeed, it's causing quite a lot of bother at the moment, but I'll tell you what, selling the batteries at the moment is going really well. We have some for sale. Unfortunately, there is quite a bit of a spike in the price for power cells at the moment, as you
Do
probably
you know if they
understand.
tried unplugging the platform and plugging it back in?
Gordian does a weird hollow laugh, like slaps her knee, like that's the funniest joke ever told. On again.
Is this
Was tech support in another life. It's a long time ago.
is this electronic humor? Quaint. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely. Well, we do have a variety of interesting things to sell. Some dredged up by the children of the deep themselves. He'll gesture towards his wares, which, along with the various mundanities of the power cells, which he's already mentioned, and cooking utensils and the like, he does appear to have some weapons and ammunition, though probably more real. Nothing particularly exciting, but you will notice there are quite a few sort of old data slates sort of stacked amongst them, which may be at least of interest to Gordian or maybe some of the other players as they're looking through.
Oh, wow. These things are always kind of interesting to go through. Data slates for out of fiction, for those who are not aware, are essentially long-range hacking tools. They claim to contain a wide variety of different intrusion viruses and other software in an age where most people have some form of cyberware in them. Intrusion technology and intrusion countermeasure technology are incredibly important, but a lot of this is pretty old, and not everybody remembers how to use them properly. But Gordian does. Well, I say, this all is mighty interesting. Where'd you manage to source this from? Is it recent?
Some bits that I picked up over the years. Other bits are more recent acquisitions. Some of them are quite water damage. I think some are just. He'll start playing around as you're obviously showing attention to them. A lot of it, it's probably a bit depressing from Gordian's look, because a lot of them look like they've probably come from underwater. A couple might have barnacles on, which have been hastily scrubbed off. and you reckon there's quite a few that are probably ruined and damaged beyond recognition, and maybe like produce an image if you press the buttons on them or the like. Of course, the gold mine of these sort of things is there's rumours that during one of the ancient ages, powerful godlike AIs wrote code onto these that could rewrite reality itself, though some of that may just be misunderstanding and rumour.
Corporate jargon may be taken a little too seriously.
Quite possibly.
Moira's still scared though. She's standing far away because her grandma touched one of those the wrong way, and now her entire family can't taste sour. So we don't like these.
Yeah, no, brilliant. So I think of a couple of things of note. No, there's no point making dice rolls for this. First thing of note, possibly more to Ruben than H.C.E, you'll come across something, and pressing one of the buttons, something on the screen will spark to life. It looks like it's an ancient recording of something that might have been some sort of entertainment back from some past forgotten age, and some sort of anti-gravity wrestling. Don't know if you particularly want to describe what shows up for just a few moments on screen, Ruben, as a...
Oh yeah, flickering through grainy footage is basically a blitzball sphere, so like a sphere of water, and inside you have these wrestlers just going, like, just jumping at each other and using the full three-dimensional movement of the sphere to step it up. Ladder matches are like railroad matches. It's incredible. You've got like 360 degrees lariats. It just keeps going. I think on this recording in particular is we've got the famous matchup of redhead bloodshot versus the ineffable guy. Yeah, those are wrestling names. And the ineffable
with the cyber chair.
That picks up on the recording, and the ineffable guy grabs or materializes 3D prints on the go a cyber chair and whacks redhead bloodshot square in the teeth, and the teeth ejects from the sphere, and random street kids pick them up for souvenirs.
And then there's appearing the sad crackle as this glimpse to a forgotten time fades out into sort of murky grey brown.
Wow, I love performance art.
Yeah, it's
Wait, it's not real?
Kelstry, it's as real as you want it to be.
Oh, thanks. Oh, good. Whew. You had me worried there.
What a vague but satisfying answer. Yes, it is. Well, what is reality, Moira? What is real?
H.C.E.
I don't know. Those questions are above my pay grade.
Way too early in the morning to have such existential questions. Oh, goodness me. But I must say, those undersea martial artists or whatever should probably be taking better care of their teeth.
Do you still have teeth?
Well, you don't want to lose them that easy.
Aren't you? You're all teeth, aren't you?
Well, I mean, you go with the ones you got. They say, kind of gesturing to the, I guess, what's the average number of teeth people tend to have on their lower jaw? Like 12? 12 sounds reasonable.
Yeah, 12 sounds good.
That's a good amount of teeth, yeah.
Yeah.
Give or take a few.
A perfectly normal number.
I think in previous instances in various other adventures and scrapes, Gordian has lost one of the teeth and has gone to great pains to extract a replacement and insert that in its place. This is not the original set. But it needs to be maintained. Always 12, never more, never less.
Only 12? Well, if you ever want to expand your inventory, you knock on my door, friend. I can hook you up with more teeth.
Oh, I don't know about the ones in your shoulder look a little too large for my maw, but I'll take you up on that offer.
Oh,
But
that's just one of the mouths. Don't worry.
But as for those data slates, the cube kind of like sags in disappointment. Not quite what I'm looking for today, but let's say
I think we could probably call for a dice roll at this point. See if you find something interesting amongst the info that's there. So
sure.
let's go for the mental stat, which I want to call awareness.
I
But
guess
might not be.
Presence.
Presence, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one that I use my capital P powers with.
Presence.
Okay.
No,
The character. Bear in mind that A, we're all new to this system. B, we're all new to using the kind of like Roll20 character sheet that's been made for BORG. It does have a little dice button next to the thing, so I'm just gonna click that and see what do.
Oh.
Huh. Oh wow! I actually just rolled a 1 on the d20.
Great,
What a way to
great
start.
first roll.
What a way to start. Man, fantastic.
Told you those data slates. You don't want to touch them.
I believe it's the other way up there, Gordian.
To be honest, with the amount of water warping on this one, it's almost hard to tell which way you'd insert this data slate, but...
Okay. So, Guardian's sort of picking through the slates, possibly a bit distracted by the fantastically over-the-top wrestling experience that he's just seen, and you'll get a shock from one of them as it seems to short in your hand, and you get a peculiar sort of static-like flicker across your vision for just a moment, but then it passes.
Electric crackles run across the vertices of the cube as it kind of like spins in place before settling down in again. God, you need to be taking better care of your equipment, my guy.
He says, yeah, it's quite old stuff, unfortunately. I mean, if there's nothing you want, I restock constantly, so feel free to come back next time. I always get some interesting things in.
Yeah, I'll be sure to do that, he says, shaking a finger like he poked something and the static shock ran through his finger. He kind of shakes it in a like ow kind of way. But for now,
I'm sure
do you
Guardian
happen
will
to
be
know
back
where,
with all 3 of their HP.
It turns out that was just fatal.
You immediately die on the first roll. Let's go. I don't suppose you happen to know where one Anya is, do you?
Yeah, Anya, I know her. Large vessel. He'll gesture towards a bit further down the docks where you can see the relatively trim line of sort of, I think skiff is probably the right word, with cargo capacity bulked onto the back of it, and a slight purpley glow around the base of it, where it's obviously hovering in position, almost spun up and ready to go at a moment's notice.
Ah, now that is someone who appreciates the technology of the old empire.
A couple beats.
If there's nothing further you want from Kel, he'll nod you off. But a little bit disappointed there was no sales to be made, but you are all pretty well.
This isn't the person that our executioner told us we could get more information from, right? This is just a random salesperson.
Yeah, this was a rando, partially to give the players any opportunity if they'd forgotten to buy anything.
For sure.
And
no, we all stocked up on our first aid kits, thank you.
Yep. And I've got a promised list of things that I have to put in the session, and one of them was that I had to tick off, so that seemed a good way of doing it. Okay, so you can leave Kel Strider to his... if I can actually delete him. There we go. And you will make your way over to the docks and be introduced to Captain Anya Danadal, in which will pop here. I'll stop poking background. So relatively short lady, wearing probably like quite an all-weather outfit, something that'd be sort of useful you imagine in bad seas and the sort of very cold weather you generally tend to get on the world with a crap star, let's be perfectly honest. She'll look up immediately. It's seeing you all approach, and immediately put out the cigarette, death stick that she was smoking, with a bluff into the key side. She nod, like, greetings.
How many teeth do you have?
Frown at you slightly. Enough last time I checked.
That's a great answer.
What my esteemed colleague is trying to say is we recently were chatting to a lady with a great many number of teeth, Executor Shaela. It seems we all have a standard to live up to these days now.
Yes, that's my boss. She sent runners saying to expect you. You'll be the group come to deal with our problem with the rig. Come aboard. I'll put a brew on of some warm ammonis. Laugh in the like. There's anything else to drink, really?
Fluids don't do too well with my current setup, but I'm sure my colleagues would be interested in refreshing themselves.
Oh no,
Can you
I
put
don't.
stevia in mine if you got it?
I'll see what I can arrange.
I don't drink or eat or sleep. Thank you for asking.
The cube of the Gordian's head turns to H.C.E. like, that's a lie, and you know it.
I'm trying things out. Subterfuge.
Fascinating.
I'm watching all those videos about breatharians. It's nothing.
Bring yourselves on board, shall say. Remind the crew they're doing some last minute prep before we set off. You'll note there's probably a handful, like 3 to 4 deckhands sort of running around and doing last checks as it looks like the ship's probably like a good 10-15 minutes or so getting ready to cast off.
All right, I make my way over onto the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, you find yourself onto the relatively bland and dull deck of the cargo ship, which doesn't have a picture, unfortunately, because finding a futuristic cargo ship that didn't look horrifically futuristic was a bit much. And she'll gather you all round and provide drinks to those who want. Look like she's going to fill you in on information you need about Platform Nethys. She'll explain that basically her job was to provide supplies for the crew on the platform. Who she'll say they're actually an independent group of people who were here before Fathom's Edge. So the rig was sort of the ownership, and they struck up a deal with Executor Shaela and some of her seniors in order to for the rig to provide them with power, and they'd assist with providing supplies. So the operations could be scaled up a bit. I think it was like it might have even been like a commune to the people who like worship the sun, something like that originally. But yeah, I got involved. So we got word that communications had stopped from some of Shayla's agents probably about 4 weeks back. So I went out there with a group of, I want to say skilled individuals, but it was basically a load of kids who, one of them had a gun, a couple of them had some particularly nasty pieces of metal that they managed to find, just in case there was bother. We sail out there, dock up to the rig, and then as they go on board, and I'm just sort of waiting, I hear screams and sounds of things whizzing through the air. Got a glimpse. She'll do a gesture about something about the size of a football. Look like drones of some description. But yeah, they one of the boys made it back to the ship, but bled out on deck, she'll say, looking a little bit haunted by it. We didn't hang about. We hightailed it as fast as we could. Got back, and yeah, then Jez obviously reached out for some people who actually know their stuff a bit better.
drones, huh? How interesting. And they were circular.
Yes, spherical. I didn't see much of a glance at it. They didn't look that well put together, but certainly were covered in quite sharp implements, which obviously didn't do great things to those lads as they went on board.
Well,
Based
aesthetic.
on the so go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that aesthetics aside, it's intriguing to hear somebody is actually contributing to expanding knowledge once more. A newly built drone is fascinating.
Yeah, not the kind of make and model that the corporation used to make. They tend to go for something of a rather different geometry, you understand? So, if there are other people making drones these days, that's mighty interesting.
Yeah, didn't get much of a glance at it. I was too busy, hightailing it out of there, I'll be perfectly honest.
Fair enough. So, how many people were usually crewing on the station prior to 4 months ago?
It was quite a big colony. We're probably talking the sort of several dozen, I'd say. More than 25, less than 50. Couldn't give you exact numbers, though.
That's a lot of teeth.
A buffet's worth of teeth indeed, Moira.
And none of them would come back.
No, we used to occasionally bring some of them to shore, just as presumably a break to get off the rig itself. But as I said, we used to be in relatively regular communications. A chap called Drebin Mars. I shall put in chat for everybody's spelling, because I don't actually have a token. Was sort of the rigs foreman. There was also the head engineer, a gentleman called Wally Dustat, who I'd had sort of dealings with sort of amount of, supplies and things that they needed. But most they sort of stayed on the rig and kept everything running. This has been the first incident, other than your sort of standard, like someone injured themselves at work or that sort of thing. Rig itself, it's a big platform, I'll say. It's on 4 massive legs with like a central column that she'll sort of give you almost like a draw out of it, where you've got the docks and storage areas. Then there's an area called the hab decks where most of the crew hung around, and then the central engineering, which went down and then effectively under the sea, from my understanding. Big ship. I suspect in its heyday it probably had a crew of hundreds, but obviously not these days.
Well, I suppose if we find anyone and they're still in one piece, that will be something of a victory. Although Executor Shaela did say that anyone on board that wasn't helping run the thing, their lives were pretty much forfeit. So,
yeah, she's a piece of work, she'll say, somewhat quietly, as not particularly wanting anyone on the shore to hear about it. But seems relatively happy to speak her mind a little bit with outsiders. She's relatively famed for getting things done and earning a title. Also,
Is there anyone you would miss if they were to disappear?
it's just she just gives you a look. I'm sorry, I don't quite understand.
Do you want to have one retrieved, should we find them?
I mean, I guess, like, I didn't have any particularly strong relations with anyone on the rig, other than it was mostly a business sort of setup.
Oh, you should work on that. Work friends are great fun. Isn't that right, Cuthbert?
Oh, absolutely, yes. It's always just excellent to have people you can depend upon and who can help you find meaning in life.
Oh, yes. I agree. We are syncing up, my friend.
Gordian
Excellent.
bodily turns away from Cuthbert at the idea of having to rely on each other, but doesn't say anything. I suppose if we know what kind of hostiles are going to be on this thing, anybody change their mind about needing to get new stuff, or are we good?
Did I understand correctly? This is out of character. That it was the drones that we think did the killing that we will be then.
Yeah,
So the drones are our targets essentially.
yeah. It sounds like there was almost like a swarm of small drones kicking about. You've probably seen drones are uncommon to come across. And some people do build robotics, obviously kicking about have retained some skill, or all defense systems aren't unheard of when you're liberating
Sure.
various areas of ancient loot and things that might be left behind. Autonomous defense systems from older ages aren't unheard of, but it sounds a bit... what she's saying is it doesn't sound like the rigs ever had this, so it's
Right.
peculiar to see it having come out.
Yeah.
Did she have an idea of the numbers we're dealing with of the drones, or do we just know it's some number enough to kill 25 to 50 people?
Yeah, it's a hard point to note, isn't it? I say it doesn't sound like the handful of people who went aboard. From the way she's saying, it sounds like the people who were going aboard weren't expecting trouble. In fact, it almost feels, as some of you who are a little bit more cynical might say, they were suspiciously underarmed, like they weren't expecting trouble. And this has obviously certainly surprised Anya. And you get the impression might have surprised the administration of Fathom's Edge a little bit as well.
They got to the doorstep, saw the first body, and went, no, and just left. That's understandable.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, do we feel prepared now that we know what we're up against?
I'm as sad as I'm ever gonna be.
I'm
never-
delighted. Sorry, you were saying, Cuthbert.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say that I never leave home without my kit.
Okay. Well, I'm all accounted for.
Well, these days I'm not necessarily too fussed about getting additional bits and pieces, so... although, Gordian scratches the side of her lower jaw, this jacket isn't really, it's good enough to go and stop the shiv or whatever, but drone gunfire, it's probably not going to be too good against. I don't suppose you got anything a little heavier around.
Anya will say, I've what's Gordian currently got equipment wise?
Armor level 0, like.
She'll have a look. You know what? I might have something for you. I'll go and have one of the guys look down in the stores, see if we've got anything that might be helpful. If it helps, I didn't hear any gunfire from these things. They look like they were slamming into and cutting into the other group. There was definitely...
That's much nicer.
Is it, she'll say. Oh, good.
As long as they don't get too close, but if you got anything, I got 5 credits with your name on it.
I'll go have a rummage, she'll say. We're about to cast off anyway, so we'll head off on our way. So the skiff will start parting away from the dockside as the ropes are cast off. Swap to a tune as well because I like the soundtrack, so we'll have a bit more of it. And you'll start heading out across the waves. Fathom's Edge slowly fading into the distance as you. It's probably quite a very say bland crossing. There's the very dark waters passing below you at some speed, and then just fog. Maybe the slight image of the cage star above you, because it's ever-present dark sphere in the sky hanging above. And you will, however, be relatively true to a word, and will come up with what looks like a slightly an exceptionally bulky trench coat type thing. It probably smells quite a bit of oil and maybe a little bit of fish. To explain, one of the old guys who retired a while back found this in his stores. Will count as light armor if you'd like to add that to your thing, and she'll happily exchange the 5 credits for it.
Well, shit, I don't have a nose, so the smell don't bother me much anyway. And Gordian gratefully takes the coat and gives over their last 5 remaining credits.
Wonderful.
Love to have a point of armor.
So, for anyone who's wanting to play BORG, or just for players as a reminder, armor gives you a reduction to any damage that you take. So light armor particularly, if you get hit and take damage, you roll a d2 and reduce the damage by that much. Heavy armor medium armor d4, heavy armor d6. Or you can have a shield, which will immediately just knock a flat 1 off and can be combined with the armor. Armor is perfectly damageable, but in terms of repair systems in video games being generally awful, we won't be doing that too much. So, journey will continue, and I think it's probably time to swap to... I was going to give a quick thing as...
Yes.
Platform Nephthys looms somewhat out of the fog. Further out of the way. As Anya's described, this large, very industrial-looking structure, 4 large legs anchoring it to the seafloor, and then the actual central bit sort of going down the platform itself into the sea, which looks like probably makes up like the bulk of the operations. The ship looks like it's going to be pulling into a gantry that's sort of on the side of the platform itself. So, Anya's going to say, in fact, let's have awareness checks from everybody, I think.
Okay.
I'll let other people go first. Y'all can take the bad luck that I had and channel that into something better.
Like I said before streaming, I'll be taking on I'll be doing this in hard mode. So, let's see. How do I use this thing?
Which stat did you say? Presence?
Presence, please, yeah.
Okay. I just click on the
little dice next to it, yeah. Hey,
Oh, we
Cuthbert!
got 20?
All right.
Come through.
Golly, that's just going to be my luck on these streams, isn't it?
I like getting the high and extreme dice rolls out of the way first, so it doesn't disrupt my plans later on.
Only an 8 on Moira's end here.
Solid this time.
11.
Nice. Everyone likes rolling a few dice. Okay, so you can all see Moira's probably paying more attention to the rig structure itself, but
Distracted by the smell of Gordian's new armor. I think she's rummaging through her bag to get a little car air freshener to hook onto it.
Brilliant. Aye. But Cuthbert and Gordian certainly will notice there does appear to be a few small drones sort of moving around somewhat erratically around the edge of the rig. In fact, you both roll very well. So there doesn't seem to be huge numbers of them. But one thing that we'll note as you're sort of getting closer is the movement seems less robotic than you'd sort of expect. It's very erratic. And the glances of the few that you see, they sort of vary in appearance a lot. Some are small, some are big. But yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. But Anya will say that at least he managed to get a few like slightly onto the rig before they descended on the previous rescue group. She says they didn't attack the ship, though. I think what I might do is I'll drop you all off and then back to a safe distance and anchor out a little bit, because as I said, if the ship gets sunk, we're kind of a bit stuck out here. So,
As long as you keep the engine running.
oh, I will. If you all happen to die, if you could give me a signal, she'll say, that'd be helpful. In terms of a bit of graveyard humour, but she'll say she'll wait a day effectively for you all, and if it's after that, one thing she will pass on to you that may be useful is I know the controls for the rig. I don't know the engineering side at all, but I did at least have a wander onto the hab decks at one point, and there's a central control room in there, so if somebody is alive and running something, that might be a place to check first. The engineering decks, by all accounts, are just an absolute maze, so avoid it if you can, I guess. But best of luck, she'll say.
You too, and you too. I don't fancy having to swim back to shore, especially not like this. As Gordian kind of like gets up and prepares to disembark, listening for the sound of drone whirring in the distance.
If only you had more animal cells.
I'm not quite sure how that would help me in the grand scheme of things, but hey, maybe we could strike up a conversation.
Brilliant. So the party have now successfully made their way to platform Nethys. So we shall have a. Let's go for first. Highly important. Where's my music? Actually, we'll leave this for now. So, changed camera okay, Nathan?
Yep, that carried over. We are good.
Wonderful. So, you find yourselves quickly disembarking from Anya's ship, who will be very true to a word and disappear off at some speed. And you find yourself on the highly industrial side at the docks of platform Nethys. Veritable maze of gantries and buildings sort of leading up to what I believe to be the hab section. And it won't take you very long at all before several of the drones start making a beeline for you, whizzing through the air. So we shall switch to...
Oh, yeah.
It's rather interesting how different each and every one of them is, isn't it, Gordian? It's quite fascinating.
I mean, these off-brand models are always somewhat concerning, especially when they're getting closer like that. Oh boy.
But now we can get a closer look at them. Maybe after taking them down, of course, but, you know.
Okay.
No matter how
happens
many
if I take
differences
these
there
apart?
are, they're all going to kill you the same.
Absolutely. So, we will drop into combat as several of these attack drones appear to have made a beeline for you. So the docks themselves, relatively nice and open. There's quite a few boxes kicking around and storage crates. But these things don't appear to react particularly quickly, so I'm going to let the players go first in whatever order you want to choose.
I must say, before we get into it, I adore the fact that because we're using pixel art, the way that we're arranged versus the way the enemies are arranged, and the soundtrack choice is prime 90s RPG energy,
Oh, yeah.
and I love it.
I was going to Shin Megami Tensei.
Moira's going to suggest that we arrange ourselves as best we can. Is there a wall we can arrange ourselves around so that we can have our backs to a wall?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably one of the side of one of the depot buildings that be used for storage.
Everybody
Cool.
should
In
also
that
have
case-
control over their own token to move them around should you wish, by the way.
Ah, wonderful. Do I need to go to a token? Oh wait, I need to go to select move. Yeah, there we go. Moira's gonna flip on her armor, which is her hollow poncho. She's gonna pull out her, I don't remember what my weapon was, some sort of future mace, and she's gonna recommend people get behind her and get their backs to a wall.
Okay. Probably at this point, several of the drones will be making movements towards you. Some jetting forward at speed. A few of the little ones. So if Moira does want to make a swing at one of them, as they're
I'd love
attempting
to. Let's see. What is my weapon after all? A reflex mace. That's what it was. I think I just hit this button, right? Or no, that's damage die. So how do I attack? What do I do? She says.
So I believe
Remember your CQC training.
I believe a straight strength check will do the job.
Okay.
Also, you can. Okay, so Moira swings, and this thing appears to evade slightly. You will also be gaining a bonus to your hits due to H.C.E. I don't know how you'd like to describe how this manifests, Ruben, or on your turn.
Let's just say that like the cloak that H.C.E is wearing, some sort of performance enhancing gas is emanating from it, but let's not go into the molecular detail of it.
Wonderful.
As long as we can go into the mechanical details, do I get something out of it?
Yes, all players for the first 2 rounds of combat will have a +2 on their attack and dodge rolls.
Okay. So I'm sure that still didn't help my roll of a natural.
Unfortunately not. A swing and a clang as your hammer cracks against the side of the depot bit that you're next to. So
Can't win them all. All right.
H.C.E asks, can someone translate these robotics for me? I am not sure whether or not this is a combat situation.
Oh, this is definitely a kill code situation, my friend.
Destruction time it is then.
Yeah, by all means, buddy. I'm just gonna. Yeah, here we go.
Like that. All right, let me approach this one, and commence communication with it. And I'd like to this is melee stuff is always strength, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you do want to shortcut by typing /R D20 /R space D20 plus number also works.
11.
Okay, these things are actually pretty easy to hit, and you'll bring your bone club that Hitchy's fighting with.
I'll be just H.E. will be sidling up to him and exclaim, "The universal language, violence!" And from the hole I described, being in the poncho, just a huge bony spike emerges and just hits the drone, striking it directly into its core, and the bone spike swiftly retracts into the hole.
Very nice. Try to roll. I believe it's a D6 for damage.
All right. I'd love to roll language. Wait, where's the? Oh, it's a D4. Here we go. Enemy armor?
Negligible.
Okay. 1D0. Enemy shield? No. Oh my god, it's so many questions.
No, just I'll modify the damage if it comes. Okay. No, this appears to whatever this thing's made of. It seems exceptionally fragile. Your bone spear punches through the almost thin layer of metal that appears to be surrounding this. It shudders slightly, and you realise it's bleeding. It falls to the ground with a crunch.
It was one of me! No!
Unpleasant smelling fluids on the ground. So
My kin! What have I done?
I think your words were a little too stern.
I need to cut back.
I start cradling the fallen drone.
It's leaking actually relatively foul-smelling liquid over you at the moment. But we'll shift on to Cuthbert or Gordian, depending on who wants to react next.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I suppose that Cuthbert would probably try and step in between whatever the closest one is and Gordian, just because knowing that Gordian is a very brilliant individual, but relatively fragile, I wouldn't want to lose his mind. So we'll just say that it's this one in the middle, shall we?
Okay. Yep.
I suppose. Anyway, let's go at it with the Vibrasword then.
Oh, hell yeah. Cuthbert Williamson has 1,000-folded, like, vibro steel.
Ooh.
A ceremonial blade.
Oh,
Yes, passed down through my family for generations. This piece of artifact that comes from the previous time I call Scalpel.
it appears to live up to its name, as you managed to bisect a large chunk off this one. This one appears to be slightly tougher in construction than the last one. It's still it's like sputtering quite a bit now.
Still kind of a biological look to what's inside it.
Yeah, a little bit. I said the models are after obviously hours in Microsoft Paint actually bleeding. Definitely not just lifted from Chrono Trigger, honestly.
Biodrones. Interesting. Very rarely seen these days. This is quite the experiment, I think.
Indeed. And finally, Gordian.
Gordian, despite having braced behind Moira, is like, well, I guess I should go finish this thing off, and takes a kind of a hop and a step past Cuthbert and flings out their right hand. And I would like everybody listening to go and feel like the middle finger of your right hand, feel where that bone is, and feel that past the knuckle and slightly into the palm of your hand. If you wiggle the fingers around, you can feel the bone there beneath the skin. That entire section of hand emerges and spins outward as like a rotating blade, slightly out of the range of his own hand, like it seems to be controlled by magnetic field, as it spins out and tries to, cut the remainder of that drone in half. As I say big words and then have to go and pull the character sheet up. Hold on. Here we go. This enemy armor 1d0 sounds good to me. No shield. 16. No, that's not me. 9. Okay, that's not very good.
Sorry, that goes up to an 11.
Oh yes, because we've got the +2. Yes, that's right.
Because of the fumes, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. This is enough to take down that particular drone. I said they aren't particularly well made, and it does sort of, your thing sort of sticks into it, and then you telekinetically, electromagnetically wrench it back out again, and the drone sort of hits the ground and rolls somewhat. Right, going around to the final drone. So this drone, it seems to almost emit something. It sounds like a noise that sounds somewhere between a beep and a slightly, I want to say, whine. And you'll watch as several other drones from a lot smaller than this one immediately gather round it. And it looks like it's about to do a rush and slam into the area. So I'd like everybody to make an agility check, please. They have the +2 bonus that H.C.E is providing you.
Okay, because I make agility rolls at -2, so...
Yeah, me too.
It's a raw agility or defense or initiative?
Go for defense, that's fine.
Okay. Enemy damage, 1d6?
The what, sir?
Enemy damage, 1d6?
Do you need to input that? Sorry.
Yeah, apparently for the defense roll, because
so
I guess we're rolling, doing all that ourselves, isn't it? Because
so we can also just roll flat agility. That's also an option.
Yeah,
That's what I did, and I got a 4 plus the 2 from the bonus will give me 6.
I'll do the flat agility then. That makes sense.
do flat agility, I think.
Hey.
Oh, nice. So everyone other than Moira manages to evade out the way of this side of the smaller drone, sort of slamming into the area around you in almost like a suicide rush. Sort of flying bits of metal and unpleasant goo in the area. Moira takes a couple of them quite solid hits to the chest and will take 2 points of damage, but you may mitigate that with armor if you've currently got some.
Yeah, I have I think I had light armor. Yeah, tier 1. So what do I do with that?
If you just do /R space D2, and that should. Okay,
I got a 2. So
your light armor is more than sufficient to stop this getting through to you.
I eat drones like this for breakfast without any milk.
Absolutely. So back around to the character. I think Moira's probably in a good position to. It's about this thing looks like it's out of position now. It's decimated a lot of its smaller brethren in order to make this wide area attack.
Yeah, I think Moira's gonna try. I think how the movie of this shows it is that Moira almost doesn't try to dodge out of that last attack so that she can just center herself and go for her counterattack. But we'll see if that's even successful. Submit. No shield.
Ooh.
Whoa!
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hey, that's good.
That's a 20.
That's
That's
a
a D20.
Ooh, very nice. So yeah, the you bring your weapon down onto the drone and crush it like a watermelon at the beach. Quite fittingly, I feel. Splats out relatively unpleasantly on the dock side, and at that, the drones appear to be leaving you alone for this point. So we're going to swap to my rig music.
Fuck them all.
Well, I must say I was not expecting to go and to fight something that quickly. But we're all in
We
one
made
piece.
it out all right, though.
Yeah. Moira, you took that like a champ.
I've seen worse drones.
Hmm.
Some better ones too.
H.C.E is still cradling the fallen drone and trying to like scoop out the organic bits and kind of clumping that up into a ball, and they cradle it as a newborn child and go,
So this is what it's like to be a mother.
Well,
So
Anything recognizable in there, or is it something
Everything
pretty
that-
unique?
Well, it's all inside you. If we can make comparisons, we could find this exact same material beneath the skin.
Well, I meant more structurally than on a cellular level. Does it look like these were once the denizens of this rig, shall we say, or was this entire unit brought here? Do you think?
Let's take a gander.
God, Tom, could I make something of that?
yeah, please do.
So what do I roll? Do I roll for this?
Yeah, Cuthbert can assist in this because this actually comes into areas that as the team Medicare. So I'll make the checks probably quite low if you want to make. Making a lot of presence checks, but I suppose presence is the most applicable here.
That's good. Okay, so I'll roll my presence.
Oh, I
That's
wouldn't.
Amazing. Oh, don't
Nope.
look at that one. I just hold it out to Cuthbert, like, here, have a taste.
So I think probably the bit that may actually push H.C.E off a little bit is, rather than your obviously divine flesh, this feels without purpose. It's very dead, and it's been dead for quite a while. It's almost like it was artificially living. It feels bitter.
Okay, I hand it over to Cuthbert and say, like,
You can have it, actually. It turns out it's vegan.
Interesting. So does the 19 give me anything
Oh,
interesting?
It does indeed. So, Cuthbert, you've probably, as someone who's dabbled with Animus, probably far too much. One of the properties of Animus is it does make melding of metal and flesh something that you can do, hence why cyberization is such a big thing in the future. Though things can go wrong with it, and Animus is exceptionally dangerous if played with by people who don't really know what they're doing. You've come across, I think your dictionary definition term would be amalgams, which are just, soulless is the wrong terms, but horrible blends of metal and flesh without purpose, or operating on very sort of not particularly high levels of thought, and this feels like something like that. Though, as I said, quite curious, you'll note that the actual meat of this isn't alive, which you sort of probably expect some level of life in it that's artificially produced. Whatever this was, the meat of it was dead quite a long time ago before it sort of got melded into this, which is probably a little bit. Well, I would say it's how Cuthbert finds that.
Yeah, it's quite disappointing, in fact. It looks like this was amalgamated, obviously, but it's just meat. It's not a living thing that was given extra or extended life through metal. It was just used as a sort of biological circuitry. It's a hack job, is what I'm getting at. This was not done by any sort of professional whatsoever.
I gotta say
I
that.
reject my former child.
Yes, rightfully so.
I gotta say that's something of a relief. It would be of concern if they were technological kin to myself. You know what I'm saying?
Concern on one hand, but as I stated before, there would be. I would have been much more excited if this had been, I don't know, some sort of new creation, some new blossoming of technology. But no, it's just someone messing about with things they don't understand.
Oh, you should just stick to one, either flesh or metal, and preferably the flesh.
Cuthbert has not really seen or understood the composition of Gordian's head cube, whether there is actual, brain matter inside there or not. Gordian certainly has not told you, but it has probably played on your mind at least a little. There is kind of a roll I would like to make before we move on, if that's cool.
Please do.
Are any of these we've got one that's been split cleanly in two, and the one that Cuthbert and Gordian attacked. Which of these is like the most intact?
Probably the one that actually probably the one H.C.E took out, because that was probably one of the smaller ones. Though as I say, it was a single piercing attack that took it out.
Yeah, Gordian moves over to the destroyed drone and with one hand lifts up and reaches underneath their tongue, and there is a kind of extendable data cable underneath there. I have a hacking tool in my inventory that a headcanon is part of Gordian themselves. And they pull it out and extend it.
Not to be confused with Gordian's actual head cannon.
You've not seen Gordian try and cast a data slate spell yet. Extends that cable and tries to find some kind of access point in the shell of this drone to see if it's interfaceable.
Yeah, actually, I think we'll again, I think presence check's probably appropriate as you're rooting around in its effect for your hacking ability. I'll make some of the other stats at some point when I try and poison you all later.
What did I roll? I rolled a 6.
Okay, so Gordian rooting around in this thing, it's, as I said, amalgam's definitely the term. This is like if you just got a ball of zombified flesh and then just stuck crap around it in a very haphazard, almost organic way. So there are a lot more unpleasant in their construction than the sprite art might allude to. So finding an actual port is more finding a few bits that you can get sufficient hold on it to. And you'll very temporarily form a link with the flickering energies of this thing. And do we have anything? 1 second. Let's just go for that a second, I think. You'll suddenly get a vision of red of a clawing pain in where your stomach could be and your throat. The need to consume to make more, and a horrible thirst for something to keep yourself going. And then it sort of shorts out. Probably almost find yourself like shaking on the deck floor as your legs almost feel like they've given out.
Gordian kind of like collapses to their knees and with both hands holds around their midriff. They have not had a fully intact stomach for at least a decade. And the idea of feeling a phantom hunger for part of their body that has long since stopped existing catches her quite heavily by surprise.
Can I make an aesthetic suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
The purple lines on the cube just glow like evil red.
Yes, during that period of time of interfacing, the kind of like circuitry on the kind of like head cube fizz and change color, and eventually the I guess hunger pang slowly fades as Gordian hastily disconnects.
Yeah.
Moira goes to help you up and says, "You okay? I haven't seen you this bad since the last firmware update."
Yeah, I mean, the updates from the corporation are few and far between these days, and I must say they are not especially well designed to work with old firmware like myself. But, yeah, these things are just about electronic. I think I understand them a little bit, but interfacing is not on the menu anymore, I must say that. Still, maybe we should keep moving.
Yeah, smashing. We can still do that, so.
Okay. So you have a couple of options sort of available to you at this point. There does look like there's several storage areas around the docks. Doors to these look open, or you can head up the gantries towards the hab zones themselves.
Well, should we try and see if we can find any survivors? Maybe going to the kind of residential area of the ship might turn up a person or two.
Now, yes, I call first dibs, though.
I believe what Gordian meant was that we were hoping to find someone who might know something about what's going on here, yes?
Yes. If Gordian could look kind of taken aback by the things that H.C.E says, but there's no real room for that kind of expression. But
Yeah. I don't expect you to understand. You don't have a Mesolimbic reward pathway. I have several.
Yes, well, maybe if there's somebody who's living, they can hook you up with where to go find another one.
Oh, good point. That ties into this running thing of subterfuge that I'm practicing.
You keep at it, buddy. Yeah.
Oh, we're not friends.
True enough. Gordian like stiffens and starts to kind of like walk kind of robotically down the corridor towards.
Is that like an ow? Damn, does that sting for Gordian?
I think it's more of a kind of like we have nothing in common. Talking to H.C.E is an absolute nightmare.
Okay, so you'll progress down the port side of the rig, heading towards the hab area. You'll quickly come across what you suspect was the last stand of the your predecessors who came to who weren't expecting such resistance. There's what look like smears of blood, now probably quite old, some washed away, on the dock side. Few scatterings of clothing, but no actual bodies. But there is quite a lot of blood. It's implying whatever was here was, you want to say, cut up. Amongst the debris, you will find, along with a handful of credits, a very battered. Where are my notes? handheld pistol with a battered small mass driver, which is a D6 damage range weapon, which appears to have 3 bullets left in it. And it's obviously been used, and whoever used it wasn't a very good shot.
Are there any bones I could pick up?
No.
What?
It's been
Uh-huh.
cleaned
Someone
of
got there
organic
first?
material. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
What
Oh.
stat would the gun use? Is it agility? Because if it's agility, I might as well not take it.
Yes, it is agility for guns, unless you're beating someone to death with it.
Anybody whose eyesight's a little better than mine want to take this and make good use of it later?
I have too many eyes for guns.
Yeah, I'm
Is
also
that a good
at
thing?
-2 on gun.
No.
When you can see everything, focusing on a singular target is
Yeah.
probably kind of hard.
Yeah, no. It's like when a fly tries to focus on something, it's like, it can't.
Cuthbert, how's your agility over there?
Well, it's neither here nor there. If no one else wants it, I'll be glad to take it. I'll add it to my I'm building a brace of pistols. It looks like, as he adds it to the holster beside his phase pistol, which
Okay.
he's equally meh at using, but apparently better than everyone else.
Yeah, for sure.
Designated gunner.
Yeah. Okay, so you'll progress past the grave site, as it were, past at least a couple of storage areas. You can see scattered boxes and things that look like everything's been quite gone through, and make your way up towards the hab decks. I will make sure I'm on the right background. There it is. Why did they put the random side in there, Roll20? Why? Just asking me for misclick.
The number of times I've also run into that, I feel you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, you'll find yourselves in the hab decks. Devastation in this area is quite clear. There's scrapes along the walls, blood stains and things kicking about in the corridors. It looks like there was a hell of a fight here at some point, possibly several. When you go through areas that may have possibly been a canteen, tables were overturned, and generally everything's a bit of a mess. You also notice quite prolific amongst the rig, unsurprisingly, there's lots of pipes and ventilation and various things, and it looks like a lot of these have been burst open, with you can all see traces of dried blood around some of the entranceways to either the ventilation system or other nebulous constructed parts of the industrial makeup of the rig.
It's very strange that they've been taking every other organic part, but they seem to be leaving a lot of blood around. I seem to find that blood is one of the more useful fluids that comes out of a body, but it's just left here as a mess.
Oh, that's a common myth. Blood's not that important.
Yeah,
I
there's
don't know.
a variety of electrofluids that you can use to replace what flows through your arteries. I do have one of the most top-of-the-line fluids pumping through this heart of mine. GORDIAN taps on their chest, and there is a notable mechanic clank upon doing so.
That's quite fair, but I tend to use blood as part of my brewing of various animus potions. It comes in very handy. It's especially if it's high in iron.
Please don't tell me you've been taking samples from Moira.
I won't tell you.
That's what that was! Damn it, I thought we were just playing pointy checkers.
I now absolutely need a flashback to military training Moira playing pointy checkers.
But why are they so sharp?
I thought if you got King Me, I stopped getting the shots.
It just feels like a really kind of jingoistic dystopian version of chess boxing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So I think at this point let's have there's only 4 stats really, isn't there? Let's just have some search checks. You can use whatever stat you want to justify it with, rather than me defining presence every time I get unimaginative.
For,
I'd like
for
to.
this... Oh, go. You go ahead. You go first.
I'd like to check out one of the vents. I'd be into that.
Okay.
So I want to argue. I don't know. That I can roll strength for this because I want to investigate one of the ceiling vents. So I have to like
Lift yourself.
lift, grow myself toward it. You know, just biomorphology. What am I trying to say? Biomorphologically, extend myself to being within reach.
You want to become closer to the pipe.
Yes, exactly. To exist in a higher state, literally. Could I roll strength for that, God, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's shit.
Okay, so you're probably looking at one of the lower down, smaller pipes at this point. So this one looks like it's been effectively something's burst out of it. You probably hazard a guess something about the size of one of the drones, but it then looks like things have been dragged back through it. You easily hazard a guess of like probably remains of some of the crew.
Can I say, because of this obvious failed roll, that my impulse is to crawl inside of the pen?
You think you probably struggle. Aside from the fact it's obviously pitch black in there, and it's probably just, even for someone of H.C.E's flexibility, it's a bit grungy in there as well, so I don't know the level of pleasantness it'd take to actually go through.
We cut to the next character, and they see H.C.E stuck inside one of the vents.
Legs wiggling.
Since this Oh, go ahead. No, you go.
I'm gonna argue for toughness because I think Moira's gonna use her aforementioned military experience, like as an officer looking for, one of her jobs is to look for contraband, so she does the same thing in this. These what do you call them, the hab decks or whatever, where she's just going through like people's lockers or whatever to check the normal places people hide things in lockers to see if she would find anything out of place.
Okay, no, that sounds good.
No, I got a 2.
Actually, the higher rolls today. So I imagine Moira sort of almost semi-mapping the area out as she's going through in a sort of way where she's now sort of seeing the high level sort of bits of things. You know, it's a little bit of a distance that the control centre's at the far end. You can see some signs, presumably one with the very stereotypical like hand mark that's been dragged down it in red, pointing towards the control deck. One thing you will note is you'll find even on a roll that low, is you'll find the entranceway to the engineering decks, which looks like it's being maglocked shut, and pretty solidly sealed with a few other bits that look like they've been to I would say makeshift additional reinforcements on it.
On a door that's hard to open.
Well, that might be something I could help you with if you want.
So Gordian I guess without having to actually roll.
Fair enough.
Because at this point, this one's a relatively easy looking. This looks like it'll have some sort of breaker that you'll need to apply to effectively turn the maglock off, which you almost guarantee will be in the control center of this this area. But obviously, you had other searches you want to do, so feel free to do those first before we progress to the next section.
In that case, if this is let's return to this later Resident Evil style deal. Gordian is going to go over to one of the kind of like locker doors that's in this space, potentially one that's already been a little bit battered, and use strength to try and remove the door from the hinges.
Okay.
And then, having a makeshift one-use battering ram or shield might be useful. If things are at a DC 12, we'd barely made it. Hell yeah.
Yeah, as I said, I am adjusting the... I've got levels of pass in my head in most cases. You'll be able to wrench the door off. It will make a relatively bad shield, but in a fit of very much like you appear to have hit the jackpot with this particular locker that you've got into. It appears to me more probably a storage area. If that makes sense. Along with various like engineering tools in here and things. You will find hung up what looks like an all-weather heavy materials boiler suit, which looks like it's been padded to offer protection against high temperatures. If anyone wants to use this counts as light armor, but will count as medium armor against any heat-based attacks.
It's metal, right?
Probably not so much. It might have some mesh in it potentially, but it's probably more likely. I want to say like a gambeson type thing.
Then I'm gonna say to that H.C.E. Heck, crap, ew. No, thank you.
For reasons that haven't become apparent yet, having something that's a full body suit is actually kind of bad for Gordian. And he already has light armor, so he won't take that for now.
Okay. And the other thing of interest in there, somewhat towards the back in probably like a side locker that looks like it's probably from someone a bit more ranking, you'll find, it's almost since Cuthbert's eyes lighting up this, a beautiful lacquered box surrounded by an electronically locked frame, probably about a foot or so in length and about 6 to 7 inches in depth.
That is much more my speed, especially since it has a lock that should hopefully not be too bad to open. Actually, let's use the mechanics of the thing. Rewind very briefly.
Please do.
Instead of kind of being like, no, we'll leave the boiler suit there, Gordian takes it into her inventory in a kind of like, oh, we might run into a situation where heat protection would be useful, but I'm not going to put this on right now kind of circumstance. Okay. So we're not leaving it behind, we're taking it with us, but obviously trying to put it on under pressure will be a different problem entirely.
Indeed.
Since we have an electronically locked box, Gordian is going to make a roll quite briefly to crack that open now if we have the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hacking tool I have in my inventory for that purpose. Again, reaching below the tongue to pull out this cord, and presence being the way that I do my hacking powers. I suppose that's the most sensible roll to make. Boop. Hey!
Whoa!
There we go.
It comes off with a plink with absolutely no damage to the box or its contents. The box easy enough to open with a latch. You'll note the initials DM written sort of in sort of like almost gold leaf into the box itself. And inside this beautifully lacquered box is a plasma pistol, which will have the pre-war officer's plasma pistol, which is as beautifully designed as the box itself. A real sort of probably actually looking more futuristic than the box it's in. It's sort of high sci-fi kind of stuff.
Two things. Gordian acknowledges the DM monogramming. There we go. And is all like, well, this probably belongs to a one Drebin Mars, although they might not necessarily be alive to miss it too much right now. And Gordian, takes the box and gun from the space in a not particularly hiding it kind of way, like everybody can see it. I found a second gun. Well, I guess a third gun.
Oh? Yes. That's quite the piece. Looks like a sort of aping the 3rd century style of the last emperor. It's very, very nice filigree on this. Was the gun inside the box then?
The gun was definitely inside the box, and that particular war definitely had a surprising number of war crimes committed, but I'm sure you remember that.
Oh, yes, of course. The history portion was always a bit fascinating to me. It's always interesting to see how people tried to justify these things, much to the chagrin of everyone else involved who actually had the offenses done against them. But all in the past. We
Well,
can
who
only...
knows how many of this baby's shot already. Maybe they'll shoot one or two more.
Yes, exciting. Do you want this one, or shall I add it to my brace?
I mean, you clearly had taken a liking to it, and there's something about the history of that particular war that means I don't want to hold this too much. I'll get nightmares. But I will take that old revolver that you picked up earlier. I'm not a great shot, but ranged attacks might be useful. Item change!
Excellent. Cuthbert, you can add Officer's Plasma Pistol to your inventory. This will deal d6 damage, but due to its exceptional well-make, will grant you an additional +1 to hit when using it. Does, however, only have five sets of ammunition with it.
Hey, that's more than the other gun.
4 more than you need.
But 5 less than you'd like.
Alright, well... I think the, oh, by the way, about the electronic lock on that door. Can't open it from here. There isn't an access port, but there's gonna be a control center somewhere in here, you know what I'm saying? If we go find that, I'll be able to unlock pretty much any door in this place. It'll be able to give us a swift escape if we need it.
You hear H.C.E. muffled from the vent still. I'm sure if I investigate these vents further, I will be able to open it from the other side.
Can you speak out of your other mouth? We can't hear you.
Oh yes, sorry. If I were to crawl through these vents, I might be able to open it from the other side.
I mean, you seem to be struggling a little, my friend. Not a friend, just a manner of speaking. Is this? I mean, you know, is this a feasible method of entry, or is Gordian have to grab one leg, Moira grabs the other leg, Cuthbert grabs the other leg, and we all pull?
Yeah, I think you probably have to extract H.C.E. You suspect navigating some of these things and finding one that gets you to somewhere useful and would be big enough for any of you to go through is probably an absolute no-no. Plus, wandering around in the dark, even if you are able to defend yourself, probably is quite high up on the list of survivor red flags for continued existence on this plane.
Now, quick question for you. Could I rewind, and while everybody else was kind of doing this, there was actually something I wanted to look at for some of the other, I guess, grab points, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to roll presence to see if it looks like people were grabbed in one go, or if like any like particularly stuck out metal bits have been cleaned of any other biological material that was left behind on the initial grab.
Sounds a good point. Oh, very good, very good. Okay, so what you probably have a certain an analyze of the situation you've seen here, and various bits have gone on. You think there was one big event that a lot of the damage has come from, and probably a lot of the death at some point. Sorry, happened first, and then the stuff involving the vents and the pipes and the like feels more recent. Like there was a lot of people and bad things happened, and then survivors and more bad things happened.
Fascinating. One thing that I learned while we were all investigating this situation is that it looks like this was done in sort of multiple phase sort of situation. Like there was one major event and then several, or at least one smaller event where things were cleaned up later. Might be of use to us at some point, although I can't fill in the details at this time, I know.
Well, whatever's making these robots, or drones, or what have you, they seem to be pretty organized. I'm not quite sure if that's a good or a bad thing. But still, we should probably get moving before more of them show up.
Agreed.
Okay.
I'd certainly rather find him first.
Okay. That's probably a good point for the party to start making the way towards the command section. And probably a good point to call a break there.
Yes, I was about
Nathan,
to be like, yeah, this seems like
Wonderful.
a good point to go and take maybe a 10-minute break. We've been going for about 2 hours now.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Fantastico. So I will take reins for a second here as channel organizer. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us so far. Please stay on the line. Go stretch, go get snacks, go get water. We're going to be away for roughly 10 minutes, and we'll see you all on the other side. Bye-bye. Oh, actually, everybody who's here can go step away. I'm going to do credits for a moment. So everybody go start your 10-minute break, and I'll kind of go through the special thanks and everything, because we've not done that.
Awesome.
For that first as well.
Fantastic. So we like to, at the start and end of all of our sessions, thank you to all the wonderful people that help put this fantastic show together, including our patrons, Tom Picard, Sam Heitzer, Irregular Joe, Jesse Toldness, Steve Stavakis, The Room Where It Happened podcasts, Ruby, and new patron, Jay Barrett. Thank you very much, Jay, for supporting this channel. Your support of the Patreon helps cover stuff like commissioning artists. For example, the 2 artists that we have putting together the show, the Pixel Benny, who put together the pixel art for Executor Shaela, and a herd of cats is responsible for putting the fantastic map together. Whether that is a person or a literal group of felines is up to your imagination. But thank you so much to both of them for supplying your hard work. Paying them is something that is financed by our Patreon, alongside hosting costs, stuff like being able to afford the additional memory to put all these graphics and music into Roll20. Also, special thank you to BORG, the system that we are playing tonight, depending on where you are in the world. BORG is an OCR, an old school, an OSR, an old school revival system inspired by doom metal albums, although we have taken a very different sci-fi bent along with it this time. Actually, in talking to Tom as he's been putting this together, we are considering releasing the additional revised and refreshed additional rules that we have invented, or classes and stuff that we've invented for this game, on the Patreon in special shiny PDF format. So if you enjoy what you've seen today, by all means, join on the Patreon, and you can see the full rules of this game. And to do 2 final bits of shilling before we fully go into the break and I get to go and take a stretch and some water, please do know that Wheels is having a new book come out alongside the other members of Very Random Encounter, the Ultimate Random Encounters book, which has a wide variety of randomized tables for you and your group of players to explore in your own tabletop RPG scenarios. Please do go there and check that out. Simon & Schuster also has another book, the Ultimate Micro RPG book, which features 40 one-page RPGs, of which I have also written one. You can obtain that also from the Simon & Schuster website, and where a lot of in your friendly local gaming store. I currently have 5 promotional copies of that book that I am giving away to anyone and everyone who makes a recording of any of my games that I have written and sends them to me, and I will send you a signed copy of the book, maybe with a lipstick kiss, as was suggested at the start of the show. That link on Twitter will take you to both the photos of those 5 fabulous books, as well as a thread of all my existing games so far and where you can obtain them. So please do go and check that out too. And with all of that said and done, we are going to go back to our wait screen, but we will see you all in now roughly 8 or so minutes. See you in a